if you were going to assign a percentage to the chances of a financial crisis, is it greater than 50% chance of a financial crisis in China?
Remember, one of the things I said in the foreword to the book is I don't make predictions. It's a lot easier to make prescriptions than predictions. And the other thing I will tell you is it is totally impossible with any kind of reliability to predict the timing or the magnitude of a financial crisis. But the thing also with certainty is every country known to man, I don't care what the political system is, what the economic system is, if you've got banks, if you've got capital markets, if you've got governments, you'll have flawed policies. The flawed policies will lead to excesses, and they'll lead to financial crises. So that's a certainty. The key question, which people should care about, is most of these can be managed like they are in the United States without spilling over and doing, the kind of damage or having this kind of crisis we had in 2008, which you have once every 75 years or so. Mm-hmm. So that's really what I'm focusing on, and all I can say is I have comfort that they understand that there are people in the leadership positions that have had experience dealing with these things before. It's not easy because they have to do two things at once. Mm-hmm. They have to change their growth model, and it's pretty hard to change that until you have the kinds of reforms they need in place. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. At the same time, they need to guard against these financial excesses. Mm-hmm. And so that's
you have an interesting moment in the book when President Bush asked Hu Jintao, what keeps you up at night? And Hu Jintao said, the need to create 25 million new jobs a year. Reading that, I wondered whether the answer would be the same today or whether Xi Jinping would be staying up at night thinking about something else.
I don't think the number is as high now. And here's the answer, which we didn't get to. But the answer is opening up more of their economy to competition. Mm-hmm. So what you've seen is 70% of the jobs in China come from the private sector. Yet there are still big sectors close to competition. So there are regulatory barriers, which they're removing, but there are also the state-owned enterprises, which are being propped up with special preferences, with funding on a preferential basis, mm-hmm. with energy, with land, and so on. And so I think the key is to open up the competition to the private sector. When you look at opening up finance, when you look at telecom, when you look at energy sectors, that's really the key thing. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I look at all the time is competition, and that is why I've pressed so hard for this bilateral investment treaty, mm-hmm. because the bilateral investment treaty, which the U.S. is negotiating with China, I think one of the key elements of that is opening up more of their economy to competition. Yeah. And I think this not only helps the U.S., but it helps the reformers. It's mm-hmm. what Zhu Rongji used with the WTO, mm-hmm. used that as lever, or some of the transactions I wrote about earlier in the book. Mm-hmm. The way that Zhu Rongji got these transactions, some of the reforms done, was the need to go to the international capital markets.